When it comes to verbal and nonverbal communication, there are several notable differences between males and females. According to MichaelGrinder.com, one of the most notable differences is that men and women will tend to have very different talking styles. A female can talk about content and pay attention to the process of how it's being delivered at the same time. However, males can only pay attention to the content but not the process. It helps you appreciate why, when females are listening, they bob their heads and make encouraging sounds like uh-huh. What they're doing is that they are indicating, I'm supporting the process as well as the content that you are saying to me. However, for males, they're afraid that if they bob their head, they may be interpreted as agreeing with whatever the content is without them knowing so. The second most notable difference between males and females in verbal and nonverbal communication is that the decision-making process is unique to each gender. For example, females will tend to want to be involved in the entire decision-making process and not just be included in the final decision, whereas males will tend to only want the final decision and not prolong the decision-making process. The third most notable difference between men and women in verbal and nonverbal communication is that women will tend to give off more approachable nonverbal communication cues, whereas men will come across as credible. According to, once again referring to MichaelGrinder.com, female structure of their voice tends to be that they tend to move their head up and down as their voice comes out very rolling, so that they're being seen as very, very approachable. Whereas males, they tend to have their head still, as we mentioned earlier, so that they are seen as being credible. So, for instance, if the male can learn how to be more approachable, has a shot as being seen as a new age, sensitive type of guy. Whereas for a female, they go from being approachable to being incredible. And the fourth most notable difference between men and women in verbal and nonverbal communications is that women will tend to bring up more sticky situations than men. According to MichaelGrinder.com, females will tend to bring up 80% of the situation more times than men, whereas males will tend to avoid talking about sticky situations.